Oh yeah. This is the Peter Nightingale theme. This is the pre-rally prep talk. Peter, why is the melting of the Arctic ice the timetable we need to set our moving to renewables by?
Because the Arctic is melting on the time scale of about 10 years, maybe 20 years. That is the time we have to act, or else lose the climate globally. 10 years, maybe 20 years. Maybe those 10 years are 10 years into the past.
Right. Peter and I were with Fossil Free Rhode Island, and there's a lot of different groups here, and I'm going to go live with this in a few minutes, and then we can all hear what's going on at the rally.
Nature's Trust Rhode Island is taking a page out of what people are doing on the West Coast, which is suing the federal government because they're not taking care of the environment. The argument is simple. Government is the trustee of the environment, and they're neglecting the trusts. What do you do under those circumstances? You take the bastards to court!
Fight back.
Fight back.
Look at this, 13 years old. I think in one of the new suits there's somebody that was 4 or 5.
I've seen that. Those are the kids in the USA are going to suffer, but there are lots of people across the globe who are suffering right now, who have been suffering for a decade or more, and we shouldn't forget them. This is a global problem.
Yep.
All right, my name is Justin Boyan from Climate Action RI. Welcome to the Rally for Action on Climate Change. We are a grassroots group of concerned Rhode Island citizens here today because we are in a fight for the future of life on Earth. Our planet is being smothered under a blanket of carbon pollution, which is growing thicker and hotter and deadlier with every barrel of oil we burn. And facing this growing threat, well, what do you think the response has been? How would you characterize the response from our elected leaders, many of whom are in this building right here? Ridiculous. Yeah, it's crickets, inaction.
Failure.
Platitudes, cowardice. At best, half measures from Democrats, and from Republicans we've seen obfuscation and denial.
Corporate greed.
On all sides, groveling for oil industry campaign donations. So we are in a fight for the future of life on Earth. We're here to demand that our leaders, the 32 governors in this building, I think I see some, and so-called Vice President Pence and Prime Minister Trudeau and all the rest meeting here today. We want you to wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Use your eyes! Wake up! Wake up to the climate catastrophe that's headed our way, and take urgent, aggressive action to get us off of fossil fuels and onto 100% renewable energy that saves life on our planet before it's too late. All right, let's see if we can make them hear us in there. Y'all ready? When our planet's under attack, what do we do?
Get up!
When our planet's under attack, what do we do? When our planet's under attack, what do we do? We've got a fantastic lineup of speakers here to educate us, and more importantly, them and the nation through the press who are here. So we're going to kick things off with Timmons Roberts. He's a professor of environmental studies and sociology at Brown University. And he's a non-resident senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. Timmons Roberts.
Thank you, Justin. I'm touched. It's so nice to live in Rhode Island and work here. One, climate change is real. It's happening. There's huge impacts, but there's no federal leadership. Therefore, you states, you governors, you mayors need to lead on this issue, right? You must act. corporations and institutions are actually more in favor in doing things. You know, we've got to get more of them on the board too. You know, universities, hospitals, churches, and so on. But states need to lead. Thanks to the governors who signed this, you know, we're still in declaration. That was great. And then it's quick. So thank you to the governors who are acting on climate change. And they're more effective because they're acting together, and that's a big deal. Yeah. So that was point number 2. Governors, thank you, and you're more effective when you act together. The third thing, though, is we need not just statements, but we need action.
Yeah.
And there needs to be, you know, action that matters. That's not just in one sector or is just government, you know, leading by example. That's fine, but we need economy-wide reductions in our carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. So we have this thing called RGGI up here, right? Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. That's great. It's shown that you can actually have benefits and reduce emissions, but it's way too weak, right? The price of carbon under RGGI has only gone up 50 cents in about 9 years this thing's been working. It's not doing the job. It's about $5 a ton of carbon dioxide. So we need a carbon tax or carbon pricing. Right? So here in Rhode Island, of course, we have the Energize Rhode Island Act, which has been introduced 3 times. It's moving. It's gotten further each time. We had a study bill passed this year by Senator Conley. It says that the state should investigate what it means to have a carbon tax, how it's going to benefit the state. We've done a study already that was done by the best group in the country, REMI, Regional Economic Modeling. It showed thousands of new jobs and you know, economic benefits for the state and big emissions reductions. So energizeri.org, check it out. Please join us. We'd love your help. So, the other thing about RGGI is it's just electricity sector, right? So if you push down on that, then the you know, fuel use will come up somewhere else. We need something economy-wise. That was number 3. Number 4. That was number 4. Sorry. I wanted to shout out on carbon pricing to Premier Justin Trudeau, right? Yeah. Prime Minister Trudeau. It's actually, you know, they're going to have a nationwide carbon tax next year. So across all our neighbors, we'll have a carbon tax, and a pretty good one. So thank you. So governors, go home, work with your legislators, and start solving this problem. Last point. You know, when you're in a hole, what do? You want to get out. Stop digging. So, thank you, Greg. So, stop digging. Stop building new natural gas infrastructure in the United States.
Yeah.
Stop building pipelines. Stop building power plants in Burrillville. Stop building liquefaction plants in South Providence. So no LNG in PVD, and stop the power plant. There's lots of people going to talk about these things in a minute. So that's it. I'm done, right? 5 points.
Thanks, Timmons Roberts. All right, I want to quickly share a quote from the founder of 350.org, Bill McKibben. He wrote, "The real contest here is not between Democrats and Republicans, it's between human beings and physics. That's a difficult negotiation, as physics is not prone to compromise. It also imposes a hard time limit on the bargaining. If we don't move very, very quickly, then any progress will be pointless." All right, our next speaker, on that cheery note, Alex Duryea of Providence College. She is a senior environmental studies major, co-president of EcoPC, and the student sustainability coordinator. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming out today. This is my first rally speech, and I am so excited to be here on this beautiful day. It also happens to be my birthday. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Environmental protection is not a political issue. It is a human issue. Nature is not going to wait for politics to sort themselves out. I want to stand up for our future and the longevity of human beings, animals, and plants, because it is only fair to provide future generations with the same resources and the same quality of resources that we were all born with. Continue to on this course, you may not be around to see the devastating effects that climate change has on human beings. However, this does not mean that you should not stand up for the rights of your kids and your grandkids who have to face these things that they have no control over. Millennials and those in future generations are going to have to face extreme weather and changing rainfall patterns, more heat-related diseases and deaths, beach closures due to toxic algal blooms, and melting ice, like the trillion-ton iceberg that just broke off Antarctica, the size of Delaware, one of the largest icebergs ever recorded.
No, it's not working.
We also will have to face rising sea levels, which is a huge problem for us in Rhode Island as we are the ocean state.
Right there.
Downtown Providence will be hugely affected by this problem, as will all coastline areas. And not only are human beings affected and human infrastructure affected by climate change, but so are animals and plants. We need to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. We demand a switch to renewable energy to phase out dirty fossil fuels. We want a ban on fracking and all new fossil fuel infrastructure. We want a tax on carbon to make polluters pay. The time to act is now.
Thank you, birthday girl. Alex Burnham. Happy birthday. Yes, she pointed out that sea level rise, which is one of the consequences. One of the consequences of climate change is sea level rise. This float that we're standing in front of, 11 feet tall, indicates the possible sea level rise by 2100 here in Rhode Island. So imagine we're not quite at sea level here, but the river is, and 11 feet of extra water basically comes up to the second floor of most of the downtown buildings, including City Hall. So, all right.
Did you live in our hood?
Okay. So, can we try another chant? Here we go. One planet, now's the time. Doing nothing is a crime. Got that? One
planet, now's the time. Doing nothing is a crime. One planet, now's the time. Doing nothing is a crime. One planet, now's the time. Doing nothing is a crime. One planet, now's the time. Doing nothing is a crime.
It is now my privilege to introduce the senior attorney at Conservation Law Foundation, the legendary Jerry Elmer.
Thank you very much. On June 12th of this year, Conservation Law Foundation was honored to be invited by Governor Raimondo to the State House for the signing ceremony when she signed the executive order pledging that Rhode Island would stay in the Paris Climate Accord even when the United States didn't. Governor Raimondo was right, because when the federal government doesn't do what's necessary on climate, it is necessary for governors and states and cities and mayors to do what's right. However, Governor Raimondo's executive order is empty and meaningless and vacuous as long as she doesn't take action on climate. You cannot stay in the Paris Climate Accord while simultaneously supporting 1,000 megawatt frack gas and diesel oil power plant for rural Burrillville, Rhode Island. You can't take action for climate when you want to pave over a forest to build a new fracked gas power plant. That's why CLF is litigating in the Energy Facility Siting Board to stop permitting of the power plant. That's why we're litigating in the Superior Court to stop that power plant. What Rhode Island does not need now is a new, long-lived, carbon-emitting power plant. The bottom line is very, very simple. Actions speak louder than words.
Thank you, Elmer. You know, there are some elected leaders, some of the governors in here, who actually seem to think the science of global warming isn't settled. And I thought I would recommend a paper for them to read. It's called, a scientific paper, it's called On the Influence of Carbonic Acid in the Air Upon the Temperature of the Ground, written by Svante Arrhenius, published in the Philosophical Magazine and Journal of Science, April 1896. 1896. Science is settled. Next up, we have a local community hero, campaign coordinator for the NoLNGinPVD campaign, Monika Huertas.
Thank you, everybody. I'm here today. First of all, I want to say thank you to those who showed up to the hearing Thursday. We had a great turnout, and I see a lot of familiar faces here. I want to say to you, I love the polar bears, and I love the animals that are out in the wilderness, but first and foremost, I love the children of South Providence. Okay? They are being poisoned by these gases, by these trucks. Now, National Grid, we have the highest asthma rate. We have it on the south side of Providence. Eczema. My kids wake up with their eyes crusted when they go outside and have a long day from playing outside. When they wake up in the morning, their eyes are really crusted in the morning.
Closer, you can do whatever.
These are the pollutions that we're seeing every single day now in the south side of Providence. And National Grid wants $180 million, okay, from taxpayers, from ratepayers, okay, to build more junk. They want to build a liquefied natural gas facility in the south side of Providence. And I'm here to tell you that that is not going to happen. It just infuriates me that a couple of months ago we had a gas explosion. You remember that? Everybody was all out here. Some of you guys from the press was out there. Everybody was saying the highway was blocked and shut down for hours. Excuse me, I was at home with 4 of my children, wondering what should I do? Should we go into the basement? Should we go and try to get out? What should we do? There's no evacuation plans, no warning signs in the South Providence area. And if you ever drove down the port, you will see those tanks full of natural gas. You will see these ethanol bomb trains, as we call them. 3 weeks before the gas explosion, an ethanol train derailed. Okay? Same thing, the same fear. What am I going to do? How am I going to get my kids out? What to do in the first place? Should I go in the basement? Should I run? What should I do with the 4 kids? Should I carry the little ones and have the 2 big ones run? You will never know the fear unless you live there. So I'm here to tell you, please help me stand up to these big corporations, to these greedy, you know what, little kids out here, to fight that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Patrick. Okay, we're going to try a little bit of a harder chant now, so we have a prop. See if you can come within view of the prop. All right, it's two parts. First part, no more coal, no more oil, keep your carbon in the soil. Let's just do that first part.
No more coal, no more oil, keep your carbon in the soil.
Okay, part two. No more pipelines, no more fracking, send the oil barons packing.
No more fracking, send the oil barons packing.
Now we're going to put it all together. Here we go.
No more coal, no more oil, keep your carbon in the soil. No more pipelines, no more fracking, send the oil barons packing.
Time.
No more coal, no more oil, keep your carbon in the soil. No more pipelines, no more fracking, send the oil barons packing.
Thank you. All right. Our next speaker, the Energy Programs Manager at People's Power and Light and the Vice President of Policy for the Environment Council of Rhode Island. Please welcome Kat Burnham.
Thank you, Climate Action, for the invite. So I work in the clean energy industry, and I sometimes get the question, can we afford to go all renewable? Yeah. And to that I say, we can't afford not to.
Yeah.
We cannot afford a fossil fuel future. We cannot afford to keep spewing methane and carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. In Rhode Island, we cannot afford to lose more shoreline to our rising seas. We cannot afford to exacerbate the heat island effect in our city centers. It especially hurts vulnerable populations. And especially in Rhode Island, we cannot afford to send billions of dollars to other states for natural gas that we don't want. We don't want it. Governor Raimondo, not too long ago, signed a goal to increase renewable energy for Rhode Island to 1,000 megawatts by 2020. Not bad, but much like the Paris Agreement she signed, there is no clear action plan. To our governor and to governors visiting today, we need a plan. We need to thoughtfully invest in solar, in wind, in energy efficiency, in grid modernization, and so much more. We need a clean energy future. And clean jobs, absolutely. So I want to just finally wrap up and say we need to make sure that we do not allow our president, who's willfully ignorant of climate science, to lead us in the wrong direction. We cannot let his administration, which prioritizes the interests of a few elites over the well-being of all. We need to work together. Climate change does not stay within state borders. We need to collaborate with other states. We cannot afford to delay. We need action now. Thank you.
I've never heard of a solar panel dripping into a water supply and poisoning it, have you? Never heard of a solar farm exploding and polluting an entire neighborhood, have you? No! Here's another cheery news flash. A report published this week by the National Academy of Sciences confirms that Earth's 6th mass extinction event is now underway. They call the massive loss of wildlife a biological annihilation that represents a frightening assault on the foundations of human civilization. Something maybe our elected leaders should take note of? All right. So Paul Roselli is our next speaker. He's also been fantastically co-organizing this event with me, and he's passing out some props. Okay, so please welcome the environmental leader, activist, and president of the Burrillville Land Trust, Paul Roselli.
You know, I can't speak as eloquently as everybody else. I have to have something prepared. So I'm passing out some signs, but I don't want you to hold those signs to me. We're going to point those signs that way. Benast, I want you to not only point the signs that way, but I want you to read the sentence with me and say the last part, which is, let's act together now. Are you ready? We're going to try it. All life depends on a healthy environment, clean water, breathable air. We demand You work towards more aggressive, progressive policies that make this happen. So what are you waiting for? Let's act together now! Remember, the signs go that way. All right, that was actually really good. Let's go. Here we go. Hi, my name is Paul Roselli. I'm an environmentalist, a business owner, father to a mentor and educator. For nearly 2 years, an activist against this thing called the Invenergy Project, a fracked gas-fired power plant proposed for the middle of the woods in northwestern Rhode Island. I'm also the president of the Burrillville Land Trust, a nonprofit land trust in the town of Burrillville. I come here today to ask you, the governors and leaders in North America, to quicken the pace of progressive responsibility when it comes to climate change. We can't wait any longer. So let's act together now! On May 31st, during oral arguments in Rhode Island Superior Court, town of Johnston, attorney William J. Conley said this about the process of selling water outside the borders of Johnston. Here's what he said. Oh, by the way, the waters are coming from the Scituate Reservoir. Here's what Conley said. Our water. Our understanding of the process, and frankly, according to Conley, said, we don't care. Why should we? If we turn on a spigot, the water goes into a truck. We don't care if it goes into a bottle, a truck. We don't care where it goes to. The spigots in the town of Johnston, they turn it on, we bill it, we bill them for it, and that's the end of the process. That's what Conley said about Scituate Reservoir. So to the governors here today, we demand that public water is never sold for profit, never sold to cool a power plant. Never. We ask that you enact policies that prohibit multinational companies from buying up public water supplies. We can't wait any longer, so let's act together now! That was really good. Land preservation is necessary for all generations to value the beauty, splendor, and abundance of our natural world. We can't live without it. There's no way. Clean water, breathable air depends on a healthy forest and a healthy environment. So I'm asking you folks here today to enact policies, simple stuff. Take the real estate transfer taxes and fees and use them to purchase open space. Come on, governors, let's act together now! You know, in 2016, solar installations in New England was the largest new energy project in all of New England. That's going to be the case in 2017. To lessen the impacts of climate change, we're demanding the governors across the United States to develop incentive programs to hasten away from fossil fuels towards renewables. Let's not wait anymore. Let's act together now! Our labor force must be skilled in 21st century jobs. There's no way around it. Upgrading the nation's electric grid increases the efficiency of energy production. Providing funds to ratepayers for energy efficiency programs should never be dismantled and should never be raided on to pay for other programs. We demand nation's governors enact legislation that will ensure the integrity of these well-established first fuel programs. Make it happen. Let's act together now! And finally, our Rhode Island governor can be a leader, to be the first to ban fracked gas and oil from coming into our state. For the use of electricity production, period. End of story. Methane from leaking pipelines are a major source of global warming. Gas compression stations cause havoc and disturbance to anybody who lives near them. It's time to stop killing our planet by the use of fossil fuels. National Association of Governors, it's time to take action. We can't wait any longer. Come on! Let's act together now! Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we've got last but not least, holding a sign here. Someone's got to take your sign, Robert.
over here. I'll bring it up with me.
Okay, so that's great. Activist, filmmaker, artist, organizer, and founding member of Fossil Free Rhode Island, Robert Malin. So, thank you all for all the great things that covered a lot of the stuff that I was going to say. So, I'm going to start out with the question put in Shakespearean terms: to be on nature's timetable or to be guilty of reckless, if not willful, endangerment of life on earth. That is the question. Yeah. But, governors, great challenges are also means that they're great opportunities. One of the things that didn't get discussed is what's called sea ice albedo, which means that when the polar caps melt, when the planet is not as closest to the sun, it's not reflecting that heat anymore. So that means it goes into the ocean and goes into the air. They were saying just 4 or 5 years ago that that was going to happen at 2100. Now they're saying it's going to happen in 2030 or the 2030s. So that's why we have to be fossil-free by 2030, because when that happens, everything is changed. The planet is going to readapt in ways that we haven't imagined, because it hasn't this is not something that's happened. So, and all the carbon that we put up there now is up there. And all the methane that is leaking out of the pipelines and everything, that is accelerating it. What can be more insane than accelerating a fire that's about to burn your house down? Yeah. That's essentially what we're doing. So Justin asked me to read the notes, our points that are on a letter that's going around. We ask everybody, Lisa, raise your hand wherever you are. Somewhere, Lisa, can you come up? And this has been online, but this was sent to the governor with already 13 groups in Rhode Island having signed on. And if you listen to the people talking here, these are not radical fringe ideas. These are basically what has to happen. So if the governor is going to be a climate leader, we are calling on her when she's in there talking to the other governors to tell them that this is what a climate leader means. To power all sectors of our economy, including transportation, 100% renewables by 2030. That's when the polar caps are gone. To reject all proposals for fossil fuel infrastructure. Everything, pipelines, no more. To eliminate fracking and all forms of extreme extraction, such as mountaintop removal, mining, deep sea drilling, and tar sands, including its transport. Yeah, you can write. To appoint a climate chief mitigation officer to facilitate the transition. How are you going to do it unless somebody's directing it? Yeah. I nominate Timmons. To divest from fossil fuels, and that's something we can all do. Your bank invests in fossil fuels, take the money out, write a letter to the board, tell them why you're doing it. Push Congress to fully fund research on climate change, fulfill the promise to the UN fund to support adaptation and mitigation by countries that didn't do anything to contribute this. It's not a political issue, it's a moral issue. And it's also a practical issue. And also to support funds for a just transition in our communities. All of these transition plans must have a social justice basis for them to work. Yeah. And to our list, I wanted to add one from a new group, ECRI, Civic Alliance for a Cooler Rhode Island, that we must adopt all of our measures to consumption-based measures that account for all of the greenhouse gases, which includes methane,
and we do it for all sectors of the economy. That's actually wonky, but it's very, very important. They're skipping a lot of important stuff. Hope I didn't butcher that in summarizing it. The governor needs to be committed to rejecting all proposals for additional infrastructure, like the Burrillville power plant, like the LNG terminals on the Fields Point, or the Spectra lines that are promised all through the Blackstone Valley. The thing that we've been fighting to have a heritage corridor forever. Now we get that, and they're going to put fossil fuels through it. And they all leak. Every pipeline leaks. In fact, there's going to be there's a standing rock on the East Coast that is being set up near Burrillville. You're going to start to hear more about this. We need to start occupying these spaces. We need to be out there when they're moving the bulldozers in and standing through them and going, no, not in my state, not in my country, not in my world. So I just want to wrap up with a thing for you to answer, because this whole thing comes down to one thing. All fossil fuels, we have to keep it in the ground. So when those lobbyists in there are twisting your arms and Justin Trudeau is telling you to back tar sands, we tell them to what? Keep it in the ground. When they're talking about mountaintop removal, blowing the tops off of mountains, we say we want you to keep it in the ground. And when they say they're going to frack, sticking chemicals down into the earth, ruining our water, when we know water is life, we need this to live. What are we going to say? Keep it in the ground. Folks, we got to get serious about this, and we have to act now. Thank you very much. Robert Malin. Can we please have a huge round of applause for all of our speakers? I think we should perhaps conclude by singing Happy Birthday. People leave for that. It's not very protesty, but it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Who wants to pick a key? Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alex. Happy birthday to you.
And many more healthy on a healthy planet. When our planet's under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When our planet's under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we want our governors to finally do?
Stand up, fight back.
That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. You're making a difference. This is how we make a difference. Every time. Thank you.